What's going on, Washington fans? Hopefully you can hear me now. I don't know what was going on with the previous stream, but it said the audio was not working, but hopefully it's working now. I went ahead and made a different stream for y'all. But so far, the stream's been a little bit more eventful than what the preseason game was, X minute of the game. But I would appreciate if y'all can let me know in the chat if you can hear me. So just let me know as soon as y'all can. But until then, I will continue to yap about what I saw in this game. And this was the second preseason game. And I know we lost 13-6, but I'm not too worried about the score, obviously, and stuff like that. I think we still got a lot of good nuggets out of this game. And obviously, I want to start with Jayden Daniels. He should be the focus of everything we do, every snap that Jayden Daniels takes. But I think we also got to see some Cliff Kingsbury as well. I think we started to see a little bit of an identity of what we can expect out of his offense. And it was a lot of up-tempo tonight. And we saw that back when he was with the Cardinals. We knew that's what he did. But it seems like this year he's going to want to be like Gus Malzahn at Auburn back in 2013, where they were just up-tempo to the extreme. I think Washington should absolutely be like a top 3, top 5 tempo team on offense in the NFL this season. And here's a couple reasons why. You kind of saw it tonight. Like I said, you saw some sideline to sideline throws really stretching out the field. It's going to be a true, spread offense. There's going to be some different formations. We've seen a lot of pistol and stuff like that. But I think Cliff, what he wants to do is just put stresses on defense. And I'm saying coast to coast, sideline to sideline, but then also from where the line of scrimmage is back to the end zone. I think Cliff wants to be up-tempo to where teams don't have a chance to really, situate or change things up or kind of find some kind of rhythm that the offense is going in. But then also you have to account for Jayden's legs. And we saw that a little bit tonight. He should have slid a little bit, but he took a couple little hits, nothing too crazy. But he had a nice little run. And I think what we're going to see is mixing everything in to where he's throwing these sideline screens. And then he's also letting the middle of the field open up. But then you have to add in Jayden's legs. And he's going to have those RPOs. He's going to have those options where he's keeping it like he did tonight and then like he did in the red zone the first game against the Jets where he scored a touchdown. So I really like what I see out of this. Obviously, there's still a lot more that we're going to see. This is just a second preseason game. And Dan Quinn actually talked about it in a press conference at the joint practice with the Dolphins and saying that they are at the point where they're starting to implement everything. Like they're getting into the final phases of just being, done as an offense and a defense. He said, after this game, after the practice, we're going to go back to Ashburn. We're going to get everything, finalized as a team to where like things should start really clicking. You have to remember that this is a brand new team. This team had the most roster turnover out of any team in the entire NFL. And you add in a rookie quarterback. You have in, new offensive linemen, different skill position players, and then the defense is almost completely different as well, mixed in with some of the old guys that have been here in the past. But you have to remember these things take time. And I think we're seeing that in the preseason game as well. But it is encouraging when you have a quarterback like Jayden Daniels who can come in day one and just look like a vet. It's not even just like the preseason game. At practice, you had multiple media members of the Miami Dolphins just talking about how good he looks, how comfortable he looks, how he's leading things. Other players, are talking about him, just being like, oh, yeah, like he looks legit. He looks like he's going to be, one of the good ones. That's really encouraging to hear because it's been a long time since we've had that. And it's just good to have him there. It's not like, you're waiting for this quarterback to develop and you have all these veterans. You have, Austin Eckler and Zach Ertz. And it's just like, okay, this is going to take some time for the quarterback to catch up with the rest of the team. Not at all. It's right now, it's just like the whole team needs to, get together and glued up. And you can talk about wide receiver 2, and I'm going to talk about wide receivers. You can talk about the offensive line. You can talk about all that. But as a team, it's good having Jayden Daniels be as ready as he is. So I was really impressed with him. Stats, he went 10 for 12. Yeah, 10 for 12, 78 yards, and had a 93.8 passer rating. And then he added in 2 carries for 13 yards, and that one was the 13-yarder, the long one on that right side. So it looked good. Will he play the third preseason game? I don't know. I don't think he really needs to, honestly. Like maybe a drive, just so there's not this long gap between, tonight, like the preseason game tonight and then week 1. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he doesn't play week 3 of the preseason. Like you've seen how he reacts to the up tempo. You see how he commands, the line of scrimmage, how he changes things up from a screen to a all vert kind of play. That's encouraging. You got to like what you see out of the rookie. There really isn't a reason to play him that third preseason game. And then, like I said, we'll talk about the offensive line. We haven't seen Coleman yet because he's been hurt. I don't think he would play in the third preseason game. I don't know if I would want him to. He's looked good in practice. He's impressed in practice. I don't think there's really a need to put him out there, for a risk of getting hurt again or re-injuring himself, like making it worse, whatever. Just wait till week 1 to put him out there. There's no reason, in my opinion, for Brandon Coleman to rush. I think he had a pec injury that he's been dealing with. I just don't see a reason. I know he's a rookie, and if he's out there, he's a starter week 1 against a good Tampa Bay Buccaneer defensive line. I'll be there. I'm gonna be in that stadium. That's a really talented defensive line with a bunch of underrated guys like Yaya Diaby, who I'm a big fan of. They've got a good, stingy defense. So maybe it would be a lot for a guy like Brandon Coleman to just go out there day 1, get thrown to the wolves kind of action. But at the same time, I don't think it's worth him getting injured. And I'll tell you why. Now, tonight, Wiley started at right tackle and Lucas started at left tackle. Lucas did a good job. But Wiley kind of just picked up where he left off last year, which is not what you want to see. Wiley had 2 penalties in 2 drives in the first quarter. He had a holding call and a false start call, which really just killed both of those drives, which were, Jayden Daniels drives. And then the fire alarms going off at the stadium as well. So in the background, if you're watching the game, you just hear this loud noise while we're on offense, which is super obnoxious. So shout out to Jayden for fighting through all that. But it is super concerning if Wiley is the starting right tackle. I think best case scenario would be Brandon Coleman at left tackle and then Cornelius Lucas at right tackle. Now I'm going to make an argument at the end of all this, so stay for that. And it's not even just the offensive line; it's corner as well. Let's see. I got some notes here. Let's go to wide receiver next because we're talking about offense. I already talked about Cliff's offense, his tempo, and everything. Dyami Brown and Jayden Daniels have a very apparent, connection. They are clicking. They've, been hitting it in practice, and we've seen it in the preseason games as well. Once again, it's a small, limited sample. But Dyami Brown had 3 targets tonight, and he caught all 3 of them for 19 yards. Terry was in midseason form, had that 20-yard catch on the left sideline where he cut back in, didn't want to go down, didn't want to go out of bounds, wanted to keep fighting for some yards. He had 2 catches for 27 yards. My guy Jahan still only had 2 targets tonight, 1 catch, 3 yards. And I'm going to talk about Jahan because people know I love Jahan. And I want to talk about this wide receiver 2 argument. So I watched the press conference with Dan Quinn, and then I see what fans get out of it, what they take that to be. And I just want to say this. Fan talk and coach talk is different in this aspect. When you're talking about wide receiver 2, it's not just who is the second best wide receiver on this team. A lot of times it is formation-wise. You have your outside wide receiver, Terry, who's your main wide receiver 1. That is your best wide receiver on the team, yes. But then your wide receiver 2 is usually who is opposite on the other side of the field, outside wide. And that might not be Jahan Dotson. He might just belong in the slot, and that is fine. I would love to see him in the slot. I think he fits best in the slot with what Cliff wants to do. Like I said, you'll see these screens, but it opens up things across the middle of the field where he's going to have these mismatches that he can use to his advantage. So maybe Dyami Brown is the wide receiver 2 in the aspect of being the outside guy. And from what I've seen, I don't want to jump the gun, but I think Dyami Brown can actually be a big contributor in this offense. I go back to, Hollywood Brown when he was on the Cardinals with Cliff and how he used him. I can kind of see the same way. Dyami's bigger. Dyami can still go deep. I think, Hollywood's faster than Dyami, but it just seemed like that's all Hollywood could do pretty much, is just like kind of go deep kind of thing. That's all we saw out of Dyami so far, except for this preseason. It's kind of opened up a little bit. He's catching these short intermediate throws. But I think Dyami could actually, thrive in this kind of offense with Cliff, and then also with Jayden throwing the ball. But I'm not ruling out Jahan Dotson. And I mean, when I was at practice watching him, Jahan looked good. Jahan and Jayden Daniels, once again, there was a couple days where they were in rhythm. Like, Jahan was catching a ton of passes from him. Now, there's other days where he didn't. I'm not saying like he was like the name of training camp. But I'm also here to say that I don't think Jahan Dotson just forgot how to play football. His rookie season was a great season. I'll admit that. It was a great season. He had 3 drops his rookie season. That's not a lot. Last year, he only had 4 drops. It just seemed like they were at, bigger moments. But he also had like 27 more, targets than his rookie season. And if you just go back and watch the tape, he's open so many times. Our offense last year was so bad. So bad. I remember times where people were like, man, Terry looks kind of washed. Like, no, our offense was just awful. EB did not run the ball. Sam Howell would not let go of the ball. The opportunities were not there. There were so many times where Terry and Jahan were both open, and they just would not get the ball. Now, of course, Terry demands more targets than Jahan. Terry can go up and get these contested catches because that's his style more. Jahan really isn't. Jahan is a good route runner. And I'm willing to say he's a better route runner than Terry. Terry's thing hasn't always been running routes. But Terry doesn't care. Terry will go up and get it. Terry will be a contested catch guy. Now, he does run good routes, but Jahan runs crisp routes. There's a difference. And I'm here to say that Jahan did not just forget how to play football. So I want to see what happens with Jahan. People are sitting there telling me, oh, Jahan's going to get cut. Like, Jahan's not going to make the team. That's crazy. That is crazy. I think Jahan is going to be in the slot. I think this opens up things to where Dyami can be out on the outside opposite of Terry. You can put Olamide in that, if you're running trips, you can put him in that second slot spot. You can also put Olamide in the slot as well. He's smaller than I thought he'd be, by the way. And then you have Luke McCaffrey, who's a pretty, good-sized guy who just showed you, and he made a great catch tonight, that he can go up and get some of these, high throws, contested catches as well. He can use that athleticism on the outside or in the slot. So there's a couple different things you can do. But when I hear, Dan Quinn talking about the search for a wide receiver 2, I think the biggest thing, he's not saying like, I want to see who the second best wide receiver on this team is. I think he's just waiting for someone, and I completely agree with this. He's just waiting for somebody to emerge as that next guy behind Terry on the outside, in the slot, whatever, but primarily like on the outside. Who is your like wide receiver 2? Like if you look at like a depth chart or like go on like Madden, for crying out loud. You have your wide receiver, and then you have like your slot wide receiver. Wide receiver 1, Terry. Wide receiver 2, probably Dyami, and Jahan in the slot. That's not saying Jahan's just not good by any means. But outside of him, I want other people to step up. Luke hasn't been playing the position that long, so it's going to take a little bit of time for him, maybe, but I see it slowly coming on. You've got Jamison Crowder. I talked about Olamide Zaccheaus. Then you've got guys like my guy Mitch Tinsley, Bryson Tremaine. You got Pringle. You signed Martavius Bryant, who looks like a tight end. Marcus Rosenby, Jack Sane, he had 33 yards tonight, which was the leading receiver, which is wild in a preseason game. That's preseason, though. Davion Davis. Like, there's a lot of these other guys that just have to step up and make a name for themselves. And that's why they brought in Martavius Bryant. Because, one, they also want that big-time physical possession receiver, especially like in the red zone or something like that. He's huge. Martavius Bryant, I know he hasn't played since 2018, but he is a giant. He's huge. Like, he looks like a legit tight end. So we have one more game. I don't know how many starters are going to play, who's going to do what, whatever. But I'm not ready to judge Jahan or Diami or any of these other wide receivers until snap one of week one. Snap one of week one. When the real games start going on, I'm going to show y'all some film and be like, look, this is what Diami's doing. This is what Jahan's doing. This is what these other wide receivers are doing. This guy's open. This guy isn't open. And I think that's why Washington was also, heavily interested in getting Ayuk. They want a guy just opposite of Terry that can spread the field wide open. So the search for wide receiver 2 is still going on. And I think it'll take a couple weeks in the season to actually know who that is. But in the meantime, I'm still waiting. I am still concerned about wide receiver. And I'll kind of jump a little bit. I'll talk about concerns of mine that I have. That's kicker. Our kicker is on a different team right now. Riley Patterson was bad. He's been bad in practice. Tonight he went 2 for 4. I think I wrote them all down. So yeah, he shanked it left from 49. He made from 46, which was great. I was ready to just, at that point, just cut him at halftime. Then he missed from 43, and then he made a 38. So it wasn't pretty by any means. It was not pretty at all. Washington's kicker, and please go get Mevis, thicker kicker, who the Panthers let go of. Bring him in to at least compete. But roster cuts really started to happen in 10 days. So I think that's when you're going to really start seeing some of these kicker battles, sort themselves out. But I'm telling you, Washington's kicker is not on the team. It is not Riley Patterson. Week 1, he is not the kicker. There is no way. And another concern is corner. It is still a concern. And from my understanding, Forbes played tonight. I think he just played the first drive. I'll have to go back and watch. But that's great that I don't know he played because we did not hear his name called. I don't think he was targeted once if he played. Matter of fact, I know he was not targeted once if he played. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle didn't play either. But Ben St. Juste played, and he gave up a touchdown on another fade to Craycraft. I don't know what it is with these fades that we can't defend. And I went back and watched this one, and you see clear as day what happened. At the line, St. Juste is mirroring him, and Craycraft hits a single step inside, and he hits a step outside, he goes. He hits a single release step, and St. Juste follows him, gives him that outside coverage, and Craycraft just goes. It's a fade. All you have to do is get outside and stack your DB and let the quarterback drop a dime like Tua did. So, you saw what happened. Literally, he's mirroring him. Craycraft jumps inside. He jumps inside. Craycraft hits a quick, speed outside step and just goes. And by the time as a DB, you can't allow that outside. And I know you have the sideline, but it's a corner fade. And where you are in that position, you cannot let him get past you like that. Because then now you have to turn your hips, you have to open up your hips, and you just have to go. You don't have time to sit here and look back and fight the ball and stuff. You just have to catch up to the wide receiver, and that's what happened to him. And like I said, Tua just dropped it in there. Stephon Gilmore still has not signed with anybody. I know he visited the Vikings. I'm surprised that they brought in Martavius Bryant. They're willing to sign a vet that hasn't played since 2018. I don't know why they haven't brought in Stephon Gilmore, considering Stephon Gilmore, one of his best, seasons. I know he's an older guy. One of his best, more recent seasons was last year with the Cowboys, with Dan Quinn, with Coach Witt. So I don't know if they're just like, yeah, it's not going to fit. We want to maximize, these young guys that we have. We want to get the most out of them. Like, does Mikey Samerstill at this point go outside corner? Because Mikey Samerstill is years ahead of both of those guys. It is glaring to me how different. I don't know if I should call them Dan's guys or Adam Peters guys. How much different they look to Ron's guys. It is night and day. And it's not even just corner. Like, give me a position and I'll tell you. And it's not all of them. Obviously, I think B-Rob's good. I think B-Rob's going to have a big year. You have to hit on some eventually, right? But there's other guys at other positions. I'm just like, you could just tell the difference. It is glaring. But I have a genuine concern for corner. It's not good. Like I said, I don't know why Gilmore hasn't been brought in. I don't know why Washington hasn't gone out of their way to look for more corner help. I think my guy Chiggy's looked good, in small sample in preseason. Castro Fields has actually had a really good training camp, and he had a good game tonight as well. But outside of that, like, are you gonna put? Are you going to put Samerstill on the outside, St. Juste on the other side, and then put, like, Ignabogany in the slot? Or are you going to take Quan away from safety and put him in the slot again? I think Quan's best at free safety. I think Chin's best at strong safety and / linebacker, kind of like what they're doing with, Dom Hampton. But I don't know what that looks like. You cannot afford to have the defense just bleeding from the corner position. Like week 1, you got Mike Evans. If you're giving up big plays to Mike Evans, and they got other playmakers too. I think McMillan's going to be a sleeper wide receiver. Watch out for him. He was a beast. But you have Mike Evans week 1. Just remember that. And then you have CeeDee Lamb twice a year. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith twice a year. Now you got Malik Neighbors twice a year. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. We have so many wide receivers we're facing this year. You got the Bengals. You got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You got to get corner help. This is a passing league. This is a wide receiver and quarterback-driven league. You got to have their premier corners to keep up. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just saying Stephon Gilmore cannot be worse than what we have seen so far, out of Forbes and St. Juste. I don't think it could be worse. And he knows the defense. So I know we don't have much time, but I think it would be worth it. I know a lot of people are worried about corner. You're not alone. I promise you. So wide receiver, somebody's got to step up. Offensive line, hopefully Coleman gets healthy and takes over for Lucas, so Lucas can go over to right tackle, which he's played there before. Jayden Daniels impressed. And another semi-not hot take, just a couple last little notes here. Tyler Owens is the third best safety on this team. And that's another position where I'm talking about, the new guys just look glaring different than the old guys. Like Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, even Reeves missed a ton of tackles tonight. And then Tyler Owens comes out of nowhere and looks once again like a vet. Tyler Owens in training camp stuck out to me. Mentioned him many times on social media. Just like, holy smokes, this guy's legit. I knew he was athletic. I knew he was fast. I knew he was a beast. I didn't think it was going to look like this fast. In my opinion, there's no way he doesn't make the team at all. Like, he can literally take any of those 3 guys' spots, and I would not blink about it. Once again, like, saving touchdown runs that other, guys that have been here for a couple of years are missing easy tackles on, just can't wrap guys up. It's inexcusable. I think he's the third best safety on this team as our undrafted guy this season. And then also, shout out to Jamin Davis, had a strip sack. He has been struggling in camp, and rightfully so. Like, he's learning a new position where his hands down in the dirt. He went from linebacker to like a 5'7", 9 tech, D end. And it's not easy. And he mentioned it a couple times, talking about, it just takes a while getting used to going up against offensive linemen, like in reps, like one-on-one reps, and getting used to their moves, their tendencies, and, fighting hands and stuff like that. It is a completely different position than just a linebacker. Linebacker, you blitz every now and then, but you're usually standing up, and you're usually just looking for the gap to go through. As a pass rusher, you've got a guy you got to get past 95% of plays to get to the quarterback. And he had a really good rep against Patrick Paul, who's going to be good. Like, Patrick Paul is getting talked about a lot in Miami media. They think he could start at left tackle day one. But I think Paul's going to be good. But Jamin Davis hit him with this nasty outside step and then came back in as soon as he got his hips open, just like a little, essentially like a Euro step. It was like a speed inside step, and just went straight up. Like, it was a great rep. It seems like things are starting to click for him a little bit, which is great because we haven't seen a lot of pass rush so far in the preseason. And I know we haven't had, John Allen, Ron Payne out there. We're missing, Johnny Newton. All of our starters aren't out there. Dante Fowler didn't play tonight. Like, we're missing some guys. I get it. But having him being able to just apply that and get some pressures, get to the quarterback, drop back into coverage whenever he has to, gives you the flexibility to mix things up and disguise different looks. That'd be great. And what we saw tonight out of Jamin was encouraging. Is it like the save all for Jamin? Who knows? It's still super early. He's only been at that position for a month. But there's still a lot we have to see, but it was a great rep. Like, that was a technically sound rep. It wasn't like him just being strong and the guy falls over, or like the quarterback's, running around and he ran right into Jamin. Like, no, Jamin set that move up perfectly where he got that outside step like he was going outside. Offensive lineman opens his hip, widens his base. Jamin cuts back in, uses his speed and athleticism, and hits the gap. That's what you want to see out of him. So that was good. And then Casimir Allen's been getting like running back reps at practice, and he got it tonight. And like the fourth time he fumbled it. So I don't know if that's going to even be a thing, if that's going to last. I've been clamoring for Michael Wiley since training camp to be running back 3. I think that's what it's going to look like, honestly. I think he is the third best running back. Chris Rodriguez has done absolutely nothing at all. He had 1 carry for 3 yards. Last game, he was averaging like 1.5 yards, per carry. Like, it was not good. So as of now, I think Michael Wiley could secure that running back 3 spot. McNichols isn't bad. He showed a couple things in practice as well. But overall, I think Michael Wiley brings you some versatility with running the ball, and then also a receiving threat in the backfield. But Casimir has been getting a lot of special teams reps, so maybe he steals, one of those wide receiver spots. Maybe they have him as like a flex with wide receiver, running back 4, special teams guy. He's been like one of the primary guys returning kicks and punts. So maybe they keep him for just that reason. But overall, it was not the sexiest, like most exciting game by any means. Like, at the end, I was like, poor Trace McSorley. He just got here like 2 days ago. We just need to keep running the ball and get this thing over with. But shout out to Trace for, showing up, fighting hard at the end there. We had a chance to win it. Maybe he sticks around. Who knows how bad the Sam Hartman injury is. We haven't seen Marcus Mariota much at all. We saw him 1 drive last game, and it was not good. And you got to give kudos to Driscoll as well, because that dude has impressed the heck out of me so far this preseason. Last game, he looked good. And I showed y'all in my breakdown video on the channel, excuse me, my favorite play of the whole game last week was a Jeff Driscoll run. It wasn't like a giant game, but I was like, if that's Jayden Daniels, he's taking that to the grip. And he turns around this week and has a 41-yard run, just busted the field wide open. I was like, holy smokes, was not expecting this. And went 11 for 15, 82 yards. Got sacked once. But still, like Jeff Driscoll, man, he's a baller. He's definitely stepped up and made the most out of these opportunities so far. Maybe he's quarterback 2. Who knows? I think Mariota technically still would be. But I think Driscoll like securely has quarterback 3 locked in. Like I think he has a comfortable lead, especially with Hardman with his injury. You hate to see it. You hate to see a guy lose an opportunity to make the team because of his injury. Maybe he'd be a practice squad guy, but you got to give kudos to Jeff Driscoll because he's been exciting and fun to watch. I'm not going to say he reminds me of somebody else. I swore I would never say their name again once they left here. I just pray that it doesn't happen because we got our franchise guy finally. But nonetheless, he's been fun to watch. But we got one more game left against the Patriots. And the Patriots look pretty good to the fact of where I think that Drake May could be the future guy there as well. And we know that's been like that was the topic of the draft for the longest time was Drake May or Jayden Daniels. So of course that's going to get talked about for a long time. Caleb, Jayden, and Drake May, and all these quarterbacks. This has potential to be a special quarterback draft class. But I know we got our guy. I like what I've seen out of Jayden Daniels so far in the first 2 games. Maybe we'll see him a little bit in the 3rd game, but I would not be surprised if they just say, all right, we're shutting him down. We'll see y'all week 1. He's going to practice and do all that and, get more used to the verbiage, get more used to the plays and all that stuff. Just finalize the offense. Not worried about the last preseason game. We're just going to gear up for week 1. It would not surprise me at all. So appreciate y'all coming by here. I have no idea why the first stream was messed up. Apparently y'all couldn't hear me or anything. But if you came back, I appreciate it. And I will be back for some more post-game reactions this season. I'm Josh Taylor, and I'll see y'all next time here on Bleach Report.